Welcome to the annual Economist Review brought to you by the Congress of Business and Economics. One of the highlights of the year when it comes to the CBE and its events. This evening we're going to be listening to Ghulam Bellam and Fuad Kesem, two very highly respected economists speaking about the economy, especially in the challenging global times that we're going through. So for the next few minutes, sit back, relax, and enjoy the interviews we bring you, as well as the presentations from two very highly respected economists. Okay, I'm delighted now to be joined by Shaista Token as part of the CBE. Shaista, welcome to INX Prime.
Jazakallah so much, Mohammed, for having me. It's good to be here.
So this is one of the event highlights that we have in the year, the CBE Economist Review. What can our viewers look forward to tonight?
I think, as in every other year, we come here for a place of solace, for education. I think the two economists are really good in what they do, and from the aspect of how it affects us as South African entrepreneurs as well as businessmen, that's what we take away from this night. And I think the CBE does a great job of hosting these seminars for our community members who don't have access to these type of experts, and especially to INX for giving it to our viewers. So every year we look forward to coming here, educating ourselves, going back with that type of information as entrepreneurs and using it in our businesses to prepare, maybe invest sometimes in what possibly could be a volatile situation globally.
Look, I think this is a new structural epoch, meaning some of these sweeping changes that we are experiencing will be with us for more than just a few months or even a few quarters. This is a multi-year sweeping set of trends, and it's likely to play out through both geopolitical and macroeconomic lenses. Of course, we're now witnessing that geopolitically there is immense volatility and certainly tragedy unfolding in various parts of the globe, including the Middle East. And I think it will go through various chapters. It's certainly not at conclusion. In terms of the global macroeconomy, it is plausible that the US economy, for instance, is going to slow in the latter half of this year. And that will create some global downdraft. Favorably, though, both the global economy outside of the US, as well as Africa and South Africa, have got internal or idiosyncratic forces that will provide some buffer.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 2025 Economist Review. My name is Shaista Token, and I am a board member at the CBE. We are a vehicle for sustainable socio-economic development. That means that we really care about representing South African business, individuals, and the larger community when it comes to larger talks.
To our esteemed presenters, Ghulam Bellam and Fuad, thank you for lending your voice to these crucial conversations. So welcome once again, and let the dialogue begin. But before I say that, there was something I picked up earlier on. Fuad was actually Ghulam's tutor at varsity. So that coming together, how it happened, Ghulam initially represented the Economic Forum. At some point, Fuad joined in. I think it was by desire, but something I also picked up now recently. Ghulam, you celebrated your birthday now in June. Fuad's birthday was 2 days ago. So both of you are June. So that's true. I don't know if is anyone else in June here? Do you also have economic knowledge, or is it just perhaps by design? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Yusuf. Assalamu alaikum, namaste, alaikum, dumelan, shalom, good evening. I hope I've covered the length and breadth of greetings. Thank you very much. Always a pleasure to be here. It's 9 years going now. That's a long time. And thank you, Yusuf. Thank you for the guidance that you give us. And it's wonderful. It's wonderful to chat. It's wonderful to discuss global developments and ongoing global developments. I had to change my presentation about 10 times this morning, this afternoon again, because of the nature of the world we live in. But before proceeding further, I'd just like to say something to the CBE, and I said this to Yusuf a while ago, that we should leverage of this forum. Leverage of this forum in the sense that I now am past it, but I think there's a growing group of young people, and we should hand over to them. And yes, Ghulam and myself can play a role, and we will play a role. We can mentor them. Ghulam is much younger than me, as you all know, and you can see. So I think we should be able to listen to these new voices. It's very important we listen to new voices, new perspectives, and innovation, because I think the youth brings something formidable to the current environment, to the global environment, and we should keep in line with that kind of development.
So the one theme naturally will be international and the geopolitical environment and how we think it is likely to unfold. And the second chapter of my delivery with you, we'll talk about South Africa and prospects for our country. And now in terms of the global environment, beyond just geopolitics, those of you that visited at this forum at the last season, at the last occasion, will recall that one of the themes that we injected into the assembly then was to argue that the world is going through structural change in a multifaceted way. And the idea behind structural change was to suggest that the changes that we are experiencing are not incremental, they're not gentle nudges, but they are of a leapfrog variety. Now, it's not unusual, for instance, in the technological arena, to experience a leapfrog and a substantial buoyancy and lift in terms of a particular sweeping trend. But the point that we argued at the last instance was to suggest that there's multiple levels and multiple channels of change that is occurring simultaneously. And so the capacity for rupture, the capacity for injecting uncertainty into the global economy and to just generally lifestyles across the globe is far more amplified. Let me stop there, and forgive me if I've overrun. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Good evening and greetings to everyone. I've just asked to go quickly because I've got to be somewhere at 8:30. Let me just thank the CBE, Ashfaq, Uncle Yusuf, and the organizers, but most importantly, the presenters this evening. I think we are well aligned to the policy and the economic policy of government. And I do believe that both members form part of the B20 leading up into the G20. So there is a solid voice within the G20, both Fuad and Ghulam, in your capacities to form part of that. I'm just going to make a few comments, but I'm going to talk about what we've captured and what are action items for us. And the CBE forming part of a social compact, the private sector that contributes to policy within our government. We cannot institute a government or regulate a government without business, without industry, government, and civil society. So I think that's important to understand, and this role that we have this evening with your voice is critical and important to some of the policies that we're trying to shape within our government. So I'm just going to mention 2 or 3 comments in alignment and supporting both speakers this evening, but I'm also going to talk about some opportunities. So government and private sector, what I've heard is that we should have a shared commitment to responsible investment, resilient institutions, and long-term value creation. And Ghulam, that comes out clear in your last statement, that as we hand over the G20, America is going to disrupt that. But if the ground, if business and industry works together in regulating the business environment and creating that conducive environment, whatever the next chairperson of the G20 decides to do, South Africa is then well taken care of in terms of long-term value creation and sustainability.
And ladies and gentlemen, most importantly, you that have been handpicked, chosen, and people that we believed would be captains of industry, captains of progress in this country, because this country needs progress. You know, Ghulam mentioned, the Chinese shudder when their economic growth is at 9%. We sit at 0.9 and 1.1%. We have a problem, and we need to spur economic activity. So captains of industry and contributors in any form are absolutely imperative, and the CBE wants more of these to be born. So unfortunately, due to venue constraints, time constraints, we invite selective people like yourselves. But through televisation, delayed sort of publications of this event on social media, on television, we ensure that it reaches a far wider audience. And people get spurred on, irrespective of whether the picture is doom and gloom. But like Mr. Kassem aptly said, that irrespective of what the environment is, entrepreneurship can be born. We just need to see what the opportunities are, where they exist, and we need some sort of consolidation of resources to execute.
I'd like to thank the most important people in the room, besides our two speakers, obviously, and also the people that Ashfaq mentioned earlier, every single one of you. So you should give yourselves a bigger round of applause than you gave when Ashfaq asked for it.
A highly informative evening, and I think it just paints a picture of where the world is going, where South Africa is going within the global economy. I think it was a really important chat to have, and I hope the viewers out there have enjoyed the insights brought to you by these really wonderful economists. From myself, Mohammed Shinara, and the rest of the team, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.